We are talking about The Cat in the Hat from 2004, starring Mike Myers, and this movie is a friggin' fever dream. It's so creepy, and it's not funny, and it seems inappropriate for children more than like a lot of movies. Like this movie's like Shrek that do this sort of thing, but just do it way better, where they try to slip double entendres and other kinds of like dirty jokes into the movie so the kids won't understand it, but then there's something for the adults. But this is just blatant, and it's not even funny, and it's gross. The art direction's okay. We'll get, that's the one thing that this movie maybe did get. The movie looks good, but other than the way that the characters look, the Cat in the Hat and the Thing 1, Thing 2, they just look too creepy. I don't like it. It's a little much. So the plot of The Cat in the Hat. Do I really have to go into the plot of The Cat in the Hat? Maybe I do. Maybe I should. I'm just gonna do it a little bit. At least this, there's the book, but it's a short book. So how do you turn that into a feature film, you may ask? Well, not like this. This isn't how you should have done it. But other than the way it looks, I think they did sort of do that correctly to a certain extent anyway. But the movie is just awful from the beginning to the end. And the basic plot is these kids are at home. They're the one kid, the boy kid, the male child, and there's two siblings, the sister and the brother. And the brother's mischievous and he's causing all sorts of trouble. And the sister, she's a lot more calm, but she's a little too uptight. So they both have their own problems that they need to work out. And they work these problems out. How else by a magical cat played by Mike Myers. Well, I shouldn't say the cat is magic. I guess they're going with the hat is magic. He's able to make all these crazy things happen with the power of his hat. And yeah, it's this absolute clusterfuck of a movie. And so every once in a while I had a mild chuckle, but for the most part, not a lot of laughs out of this movie. It was pretty bad, hard to watch. Even though it's only 80 minutes, it's not long, but it was still kind of excruciatingly bad. The pain we go through, to review a bad movie, or to just watch a bad movie. Because I'd seen this before, and I kind of wanted to. Because even as a kid, when I watched this, I was like, I don't know about this movie. Doesn't seem like it's gonna be good, but I think my mom rented it or one time, and I was like, okay, let's watch it. And it was just bad. Even then, I think I maybe liked it more then, because I was a kid. That's the target audience, so that makes sense. But yeah, now it's worse. It's just hard to watch now. Even then, I was like, this is kind of creepy and not amazing, but I think it kept my attention as a child, at least. More than I can say for it today. But let's look at the Rotten Tomatoes. Dr. Seuss's The Cat in the Hat. That's right, that's what this is called technically. Dr. Seuss's Cat in the Hat. They want to make sure you know that this is connected to the fucking book. Because, yes, it is, but there's a lot of shit that's not even close to being in the book, and it's just bad SNL sketches, a lot of it. All the Cat in the Hat gags where he's doing the cooking show, and he's doing all these different sort of gags and characters throughout as the Cat in the Hat, and it's just bad SNL sketches that got rejected or something. So it's not funny. Anyway, 10%. 10%. That's maybe a little harsh, but I get it. This movie's not good, so I'm not even mad at the 10%. But let's click on that 10% and see the average. So average 3.4. You see, that's more about what I would give it. We'll see what I actually give it for a rating at the end of this, but so stick around if you want to hear that. But no, 3.40 out of 10 is the average, and then 57%. 3.2 is the average out of 5, so much higher, because it's 3.4 out of 10 for the critics. So the audience kind of liked this. So let's talk about that, because I've had a few people talk to me about this movie when I said I was going to review it, at least one person, and before this, other people have said this, that it's not that bad, that it's so bad that it's good. It's one of those, and I don't agree. I think it's just bad, because it's a comedy that's not funny, and yes, comedy is subjective, but it wasn't funny in the slightest to me, so that's how I have to judge it. And by the slightest, I mean, yes, there was a couple jokes that I said that I kind of liked, but when I say I kind of liked them, it was more like a, like not a big laugh, like a small laugh for it, just to make that clear. But yeah, every once in a while there's a joke that I was like, that's kind of funny. Kind of. But there was nothing really uproarious or very well written, I think. It was just a lot of fucking, like I said, things that seem like bad, rejected SNL sketches. But yeah, people liked this movie. The audience, 57%. That's pretty good for an audience score sometimes, you know? And then 3.4 average rating. Like, that's out of 5. Or 3.2 out of 5, what was it? Yeah, 3.2 out of 5 for an average rating, which is like average. And this movie is not average. It's bizarre. It's terrible. But it's not so bad. It's good. It's so bad it's bad. That's how I feel about this movie. It's kind of a nightmare. It looks like nightmares. Some of the images, like with the Cat in the Hat. Like I said, I like the things like the set design and the aesthetic of this movie. The way the surroundings look, the sets and all the different like rooms and all the colors. It looks great, other than the Cat in the Hat and the Thing 1 and Thing 2. But yeah, this movie just could have been better, but it also maybe shouldn't have been made. They got lucky with The Grinch, I think. This is why they made this movie, I'm pretty sure. Because they did a similar thing with The Grinch, but it worked better than this movie. Some people don't like that movie either, and I get it if you don't. I kind of like it. I have a soft spot for it. But that movie was better made, and Jim Carrey really fit The Grinch, and he wanted to do it. I think Mike Myers didn't want to do this. He was contractually obligated to do this movie. He didn't want anything to do with it. The kids said in interviews that he did not want to be there. They said he was miserable on set. Because he was contractually obligated to be there. And I think in return, he got to make Austin Powers 3 or something. I could be wrong about that, but that's what I believe at this current time. So let's look at the Rotten Tomatoes, some of the critics' reviews. The Cat in the Hat is dog food. That's kind of funny. Too mature for the kids who are reading the book. Kinda. The Cat in the Hat isn't so much a movie as an extremely long commercial for Universal's Dr. Seuss inspired products and tie-ins. Kinda, and I have a note about that because it's just like the most shameless plug for a fucking Universal Studios parks. And I'm just like, really? Like, you're just gonna blatantly do it? Like, it wasn't... They were trying to play it off as a joke, but it wasn't funny. It was just like, look at this shameless plug, look at it and laugh at it like it's well-written comedy. And it's not. It's just a shameless plug. Anyways, speaking of shameless plugs, if you want to subscribe and donate to the channel, please please consider. Just kidding. Moving on. Let's go. Let's read some more reviews. Oh, man. Anyway, the Cat in the Hat... I already read that one. A film adaptation with big buck effects, but no soul to speak of. Yeah, 2004, the effects, even the CGI, which hasn't aged great, but it was 2004, so yeah, I guess you can kinda give it a break. But yeah, no soul. I agree. It feels like an absolute piece of trash. First published in 1957. This is Richard Roper's review. The Cat in the Hat, one of the most beloved and best-selling children's books ever. It's also a mere 1,600 words, and even at 82 minutes, the whole version seems like a big stretch. Yeah, it is. They stretch it out because it's a tiny book, so you get it. And this can be done well. We've seen it been done well in the past. I think the movie Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs is actually pretty good. My dad would disagree, but he's never even seen it. He refuses to see it because the art direction is different than the book, and that's what he's mad about. And fair enough, but I think the movie did a good job of doing its own thing, and stretching it out into a story where you care about the characters and stuff. Which is more than I can say for this movie, The Cat in the Hat. And I agree with Richard Roper. Let's find a good review. It's what wants to be an austere breakdown of suburbia, a Burger King's Heroes trash pop kids flip, the Mike Myers do what I want variety hour. Except for it wasn't really what he wants to do. Maybe he got some like creative say, but I don't know. I feel like they just gave him a script because he wasn't even into it at all. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure, obviously, because I wasn't there. But to my understanding, that's what I know. A self-aware slapstick of the endearing family film and an actual endearing family film. It's not. It's bad. Corey Woodroof, you are wrong. You are wrong. Let's find another good review. Is there any more good? There's gotta be. There's a lot of reviews of this. There's more. Mike Myers brings this troublesome feline to life in an action-packed adventure. I guess there's an action in it. I didn't think of it as action-packed because all that kind of shit makes me just want to almost puke. They throw so much shit at you. All with all the effects and shit. It's a little much at times. But I guess it's action, but it's not good. It's fucking shite. Anyway, I want to find one more good review. It's there's lots of pages of bad reviews. It would have been nice for Myers to be a little more original. You can't put it all on Myers. Put it on the fucking people who directed it and wrote it. I don't think Myers did direct or write it. And maybe we'll look at that in the IMDb page right now. But first, let's look at what it got on IMDb. 7 point nothing. Just I don't know why I said 7. I think that's what the next movie got. That's why. Creed. That's what it gets. 7 point something. But this gets 4, which is like fair. I would maybe even give it lower. We'll see what I rate it. Like I said, stick around if you want to see what I rate this absolute trash fire of a film. But the popularity is going up because I think this is one of those movies that people want to look back at and be like, what the fuck was this? Why did this get made? Because, yes, I don't like it, but it's something to look at because it's so fucking, there's so much trash. So the people that do kind of enjoy how bad it is, I can't blame them because there's movies like that for me that I think are so bad that they're really good. Like the obvious one is like The Room, but there's Neil Breen does movies that are pretty funny. He's trying to do this seriously, but they're just so bad that they're funny. Or movies like Birdemic, where same story. It's like one of the worst horror movies ever made, but it's so bad that it's kind of funny. The Cat in the Hat, 4.0 out of 10 on IMDb. Which, yeah, definitely deserves below 5, so fair enough for IMDb. Mike Myers is the cat. Dakota Fanning is Sally. Yeah, Dakota Fanning. Oh, yeah, she's just a little kid in this. Yeah, that's right. And Alec Baldwin is in this movie. And we won't get into all of the controversy with him, but he killed a man, didn't he? Or something with the gun going off on set. I don't really know the full story. But I don't think he's getting work right now. But this was in 2004 when Alec Baldwin was on top of the goddamn world. But anyway, let's look at more actors in this. Spencer Breslin. So this was the kid who played the male child, Conrad. Spencer Breslin. I just wanted to click on him because Dakota Fanning. Oh, he's the kid in The Kid, which I reviewed on here. Oh, and he's in the Santa Claus 3. And The Happening. Oh yeah, I remember his part. I also reviewed The Happening on here. I've reviewed all these movies except for the Santa Claus 3, which I've seen, and it's bad. But anyway, we're not talking about the Santa Claus. I was just curious about Spencer Breslin, so I clicked on his name. But and Sean Hayes, who's on Will and Grace, and I think 2.5 Men. Is he on both those things? Or just Will and Grace? Do I get him mixed up with the other guy? He looks like the guy. If he's not that guy, he looks like that guy. That's on 2.5 Men. The one that's not Charlie Sheen, obviously. So yeah, that was just me being silly. But Will and Grace, he's that guy. Okay. The Three Stooges and Cats and Dogs. I've reviewed all of these movies, and Will and Grace is not a movie. And I think I've only seen like the finale, the series finale of Will and Grace. But it was a huge show. It was a little bit before my time, but I remember like being like, well, let's watch the last episode, and it was fine, Anyway, but I didn't really know the show that well, so it was hard for me to judge it on the last episode. Well, plus it was so long ago. Anyway, let's go back to the other actor, Sean Hayes. He's in lots of stuff. He voices the cat in Cats and Dogs, and I actually kind of like Cats and Dogs. It's not amazing, but it's kind of fun. I enjoyed Cats and Dogs. Like, there were some good gags in it and stuff. Anyway, I would say at least Amy Hill. Who else is on this list? But that's everyone that I really sort of know. Dare we click on Dakota Fanning and just see what she's known for? Is she known for The Cat in the Hat? No, she's not. That's not in her top 4. That's funny. War of the Worlds from 2005. I believe that's the one with Tom Cruise. Man on Fire, which I've reviewed the original, but this is the one with Denzel Washington. Of course, I Am Sam, which I've never seen, but I know of its existence. The Secret Life of Bees, which I've never seen, but I've heard of it as well. I haven't seen any of these except War of the Worlds. Anyway, let's go back and check out how much this movie made. Yeah. In the box office. Let's look at the box office. 109 million budget, and it made 133 million. So it made like a little bit over the budget, but I don't know. That might still be considered a flop because of marketing and stuff, but maybe that's after marketing. I don't know if it usually includes the marketing budget or not. That's something I've never thought about until now. But 133 million. I mean, that's like, if this movie didn't have a crazy budget, this would have been a success. But because people want to go see the Cat in the Hat movie. That's the thing. When you make a movie that expensive, it's easier to lose your money on it, Anyways, there was something that I was gonna look at. When I was on the IMDb page, and I absolutely forget. And I apologize, but we're just gonna move on. Let's go. So I have my notes here. Let's talk about those. That's the next thing that we'll be doing here. That's More Than Instruments of Evil. 4.4 on IMDb. No, it's not. IMDb, don't we have like a 7 or something? But no, this movie is absolutely atrocious. It's terrible. I mean, the box office. Oh, of course, the box office. Yes, indeed, it is definitely more. It made more money than Instruments of Evil, but most things did. Most movies. I guess lots of movies are flopping now because it's just harder to make back your money. Used to have the VHS sales, but now with the streaming, it's not the same. Anyways, what movie are you talking about? Cat in the Hat. It's in the Mother Lovin' title of the stream. But Cat in the Hat with the good old Mike Myers. It's terrible, but let's talk about it. So, I like the production design. That's like my first note, because, and I've already sort of said this. So I'll just say that I like the sets and the production design, but I don't like the creature design, a lot of the CGI and stuff. But I do like the big green rooms and the cartoony looking houses and stuff. I kind of like that. But other than that, things are kind of a nightmare to look at in this movie. Anyway, moving on. But like I said, the sets are kind of fun. Mr. Humberflu touches a lot for being a germaphobe. Yeah, so they have a germaphobe character, but he's touching a lot of stuff and people's and things. And it's like, he gets mad at touching when someone shakes his hand, but like, I don't know. He's not touching, I guess maybe he's not touching people, but he's touching like things people just touch, so I don't know. I feel like he would be more cautious, because they set him up to be this big germaphobe. Not germophobia enough for me. That's my note there. Foreshadowing with slippers. So they have, I kind of called it, maybe because I've seen the movie before, but I like to think I would have called this anyway, even if I hadn't. But you see some feet and that look like cat feet, and you're like, oh, it's the Cat in the Hat, he's here. But I knew it was going to be like slippers, and it was slippers, so boom. Yeah, it looked horrible, almost Master of Disguise quality. Yeah, almost. Not as bad as it, but not bad, not quite as bad as that, but pretty bad. I think Master of Disguise is worse, I would say, personally. Although it would be close. They're both bad. They're both not good. Anyway, my next note. So many odd choices, like Alec Baldwin walking backwards. So yeah, the direction in this movie feels weird at times. Like, Alec Baldwin exits a room and he's like slowly like walking away, and like, I don't understand why. It just felt weird, and just there's lots of things like that in this movie that just feel odd, like wrong choices. Anyway, moving on. Realistic reaction to the Cat in the Hat. So, I'll give this movie this. The kids, when they see the Cat in the Hat, they're terrified, as they rightfully should be. So at least the movie got that right. They're not just like, oh yeah, cool, it's a whimsical cat. They at least got that right. If you saw a big fucking cat like that looked like that, be terrified. I'd be screaming too, and running, just like they do in the movie. At least Alec Baldwin didn't shoot anyone. Yeah, he's in this movie. I mentioned that briefly, that he killed them, right? Like, did they die? The person? I think they did. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, it's pretty fucked. But he's not working now, so. But this is 2004 though. That's when this movie was made, when he was on top of the world. Moving on. The cat sexualizes their mom. So there's a lot of like dirty things in this movie. And it's a kid's movie, and it feels too dirty for a kid's movie. This is a PG movie, and it's like really provocative at times. It's PG. was just double checking that, and he's like, this is just one of many sort of gross jokes in this. But the joke is just like the cat thinks that their mom is hot, and that's not even funny, and it's just kind of like weird and gross. But anyway. A real promising young filmmaker was killed. Oh, I thought someone was killed. That's awful. Well, fuck. Yeah, I hope he gets what's coming to him. He gets some sort of repercussions for his actions, because that's just fucking terrible. Film set deaths are the worst. I mean, all deaths suck, but on a film it's supposed to be somewhere that you think would be safe, but there's so many film set deaths. Brandon Lee, and then there's the Twilight Zone thing, and it just sucks. But yeah, fucking Alec Baldwin I think he was trying to blame someone else, but everyone was like, "Nah, it was you. You fucked up." Well, it was arguably. Oh, you think it was arguably more the armorer's fault? Okay, yeah. To be fair, I don't really know what I'm talking about. So, so you could very well be right. But I don't really know the full story. Maybe I should read more into it later. But anyway, we're not talking about the gun thing with Alec Baldwin. We're talking about 2004's The Cat in the Hat. She was using live ammo in the guns and apparently didn't take it out. Well, okay, well, yeah, but you could argue that Alec Baldwin should check too. So maybe there's more than one party to blame. Anyway, moving on. We're moving on. Movie is not funny. Yeah, it's just the jokes rarely land, and if they land at all, they're not that funny. Yeah, the movie sucks. Movie is dirtier and more mean-spirited than you'd think. So yeah, they just do the way they treat the babysitter character and just the way they treat humans in general, in this world. It's just, and I get that's sort of the point, that the kids are supposed to wanna make the world a better place and try to realize that you can be happy and stop making life miserable for your mom, basically, is the main lesson. But it could have been done so much better. It could have been way more charming. There's movies that are mean-spirited that do a better job of being entertaining and being funnier, like Matilda. Matilda is a children's film, and it's mean-spirited, but it has heart, and you care about Matilda. I don't really care about any of these other characters. You're supposed to hate Danny DeVito's character. You're supposed to hate the head teacher, and you're supposed to love the good teacher, and you're supposed to like Matilda because they have heart. And that carries the movie, their relationship, and wanting to learn. But this is just, there's no motivation. It's just fucking trash and not funny, and it's gross, and often not fun to look at, other than, like I said, the sets and production design. You're making me want to see how bad this is now. Well, you could. It's on Amazon Prime. It's not so bad it's good, though. It's just bad. I don't think you would enjoy it. It's a hard watch. It's this comedy. Imagine jokes that just keep not landing, over and over and over again, while having to look at just grotesque makeup and visuals. Because that's what this is. You see the cat's ass. So they show his butt. They show his ass crack in this movie. And it's fuck, this movie's PG again. Do we really need to see Mike Myers' cat ass? I don't think we did. I never had a joke not land, so no idea what that's like. That's right, you're a comedy mastermind. How did Alec Baldwin make a sandwich so fast? So, this is a minor note, and I get it's a movie, and it's based on a children's book. But Alec Baldwin, he goes off set, or off screen for a second, and then comes back, and he already has a sandwich made, and he's got a pack of beer he's stealing from this house. Oh, yeah, that's part of the plot, too. Alec Baldwin wants to send Conrad to military school, the boy kid who's mischievous. And the mom is considering it because he's such a terror. But Alec Baldwin, we find out, is just a loser, and he's evil and manipulative. So we don't like Alec Baldwin, but really you don't like fucking anybody. I mean, the kids, I guess, kind of, but if the script was better, you would care about them more. And you just don't. And he also stole a 6-pack of bread. Yeah, just and the kids, I get that they're dealing with their own shit at this point, but they don't even tell him that. They'll mention it, hey, you're taking our bread and shit. Or they could tell the mom and be hey, you took the bread, because they're trying to stop this guy from sending him to military school, or so you would think. At least Conrad would be. But yeah, so that doesn't really make sense with the whole how he made a sandwich so quickly. And yeah, that's just the fact that he stole all that stuff is kind of weird that they didn't mention it. Anyways, why does Conrad take time to pick the crab lock and not even look in the crate? So they do the classic like, oh, don't look in the crate. You're not supposed to do it. And then of course he opens the crate because there's this crab lock and he gets the crab lock off, but then he doesn't look in the crate after doing all that work. And I guess you could argue that now there's a lot going on in that scene. They're dealing with thing 1 and thing 2, wrecking up the place, and now the crab lock is on the dog's tail or some shit, or on the collar. So there's all that going on, so maybe he got distracted. But I would still be like, he opened the crate. You'd think that he would want to look in it, but he doesn't even look in it. We find out later even what's in the crate, but still, it doesn't make sense to me why he wouldn't open it right away if they're doing the classic curious, I want to look in the box thing. Have him look in the box. I guess I gotta run down there. I'll leave the stream on to give you views. Thank you. Daddy. Alec Baldwin needs to slow the fuck down on the sandwich making. Yeah, it was too quick. It doesn't make sense. That's the only thing that doesn't make sense in this movie. Just kidding. This movie is a train wreck. But moving on. Why is it so easy to pick the crab lock? Well, now that I ask myself that question, it kind of makes sense because they do sort of explain later that the crab lock, like, it was sort of known that he was going to open it because they knew he was a mischievous boy. So it sort of makes sense. So I'm not even going to worry about that. No. Moving on. Why did they bring the fish? Why did they bring the fish? I don't remember this. We're just going to move on. Easy on a Sunday morning. Could have been used better. Yeah, it could have. They used that song. I really like that song. And by they could have used it better, I just mean, like, don't you have to pay a lot of money to license songs? So why don't you use it for longer, you know? That's what I wonder, because it's only for a few seconds. They have hit the Cat in the Hat get hit in the balls, and so he's in his happy place. Well, that song is playing, Easy Like a Sunday Morning by Lionel Richie. And it's just, I wanted to hear more of that song. That's all that note is. Moving on. Fish would fall off the car. So yeah, just another thing that doesn't make sense. The fish can talk. Yes, it can talk in the book, so I guess. But like, the fish are just talking all of a sudden. Like, I don't really understand. I guess magic, but like, whatever. The point is that the fish is on the roof of this car and it just like doesn't fall off, which is crazy. Why did they bring the fish? It's a good fit. That's a good. Oh! Now I'm getting that note. That's the note that I was like, I don't know what that means, but now I know what it means. Why did they bring the fish? Because the goldfish is just like nagging, and why did they bring him in the first place? It doesn't make any sense why they brought the fish. They didn't need to. Just leave him in water at home. Doesn't make sense. Fish would, and the fish would fall off the car. That part definitely doesn't make sense. Paris Hilton is in this movie for just a second. It was just kind of funny, but it's like, also why? It's kind of weird, but there's a club scene. She's credited as party goer or something, but yes. Paris Hilton's in this movie. Why would Alec Baldwin leave his car? So yeah, there's a point in the movie where it doesn't really make sense for him to leave the car at this point in time, but he does anyway. And that's all we'll say about that. The CGI is bad. So yeah, it's bad, but it's from 2004, so you can kind of give it to it, but also it's just unappealing looking. A lot, they throw so many effects at your face. This is over $100 million budget in 2004. Adjusted for inflation, that would probably be even more now. So that's kind of crazy to think. But yeah, the CGI, just for the most part, sometimes it looked fine, I guess. But with all the purpley, goopy stuff, it looked kind of weird, I thought. Anyway, moving on. last note, shameless plug for Universal Theme Park. So Universal Theme Parks or studios or whatever, in the middle or near the end of the movie, they're going down this crazy slide inside the crate in the crazy crate world that's leaking out and causing havoc, and they're trying to shut the crate. And so they're in this crazy fantasy world, Bizarro Land version of the house, and there's this big slide, and they're going down it, and it's like, one of the kids says, "Oh, it's like we're on a theme park ride," and Mike Myers says, "Oh, like Universal theme parks?" And he like holds up the sign, and it's just like the worst and most shameless plug I've almost ever seen in a movie. I mean, there's other examples, but it was pretty bad. And they were trying to play it off as a joke, but it doesn't. It's not funny. It just plays off like, we gotta fucking get people to come to see our Dr. Seuss attractions and shit at Universal Studios, and it's like, fuck you. That's how I feel about that. And that's how I feel about this whole movie. We're going to wrap up the review and then move on to the next review, which is of Creed, the first Creed film, the 7th in the Rocky franchise. Technically, it's sort of a reboot, but we'll get into that when we get into that, which will be soon. But let's rate this movie. So like I said, it's absolute trash. Don't watch it unless you want to torture yourself with nightmare fuel and just jokes that aren't funny at all. And it's 80 minutes that you'll never get back. But The Cat in the Hat, it's bad. So I'm going to give it 2.8. Because there's some redeemable things in it. Like, the performances, for the most part, aren't that. Like, the kids are okay actors. But and like I said, the main redemption is the sets that are kind of cool. But it's just a lot to take in, and it's not funny, and the more jokes that don't land, the more tiresome it gets. And it's just gross and a little bit too adult for kids, and it's just not good. And 2.8 is really bad for me, but it's rightfully so. This movie sucks. The Cat in the Hat, 2.8 out of 10 ducks.